Welcome.
No turning back now.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Marissa.
Nice to have you.
Yeah, excellent. Finally meeting face to face after all these
After
years.
a lot of years.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, no, it's a privilege to work with you guys, and I think with the session we did this morning as well, to get that feedback and see where we are missing the smaller details in the systems and the platforms that you guys use.
So what got you into property tech specifically?
Oh, that's quite a long story. It started in childhood. My dad, at that time, I don't know if you were born then, but
Probably not. You were born yesterday. Today.
Today.
How many years ago?
I not want to share that on live television, if you call it that.
age is just a number. But yeah, so my late dad bought one of the first computers in South Africa. It was one of those that it's a Spectra video, so you plug it into a TV at that stage, one of those big CRT TVs, and just a keyboard, and then like a tape drive where you can load programs or code that you write, you can save on there. And that was games as well. So you first played games and stuff, and then, but you can code, you can write your own code. And there was this little book. And I was still in, I think in primary school. Yeah. And that's actually in primary school when I first wrote my first program, like in basic language. Yeah. But was all through trial and error. So they gave this little book examples how to draw a spiral or some graphic, a tree on the screen. This code you put the code in, and then you press run, and then everything comes up. And it's like, wow, man! And what if I change this section? Now suddenly this tree looks a bit different, or the spiral looks a bit different. And there was all these little programs that you could try, and a lot of them were mathematical functions that drew spirals or sine waves or whatever. And that's where my love for maths started as well, I think, because then I made the connection with maths and coding. And from there, in high school, my dad bought he actually started a state agency at that time.
Okay.
And he saw the opportunity. He bought one of the first proper, PCs, desktop PCs with those floppy disk drives. And he bought a little software application at that stage, a programmable database, was called Q&A. So that was and he said, well, give it a try. Let's see if we can build a listing database at that stage. And at that time, most agents used these like flip cards and listing books where you had all the details and developed photographs on there from the listings.
Wow.
Yeah, at that stage, the agent was the source of info. If you wanted to view homes, there was no internet at that stage. You had to go to a state agency or look in the newspaper and then see listings from that was a week or two old. But if you want the recent stuff, you had to go into the agency, and the agency would open up their book and flip through the listings. And what do you like, sir? So my dad thought, well, let's try to build something where there's a listing database where I can at least quickly search, through hundreds of listings and find the listings quicker. So through a lot of trial and error, we developed this little app. Searchable database. That was my first reports that I developed as well, where you had listing reports, which you can sort of filter on. You want to see all the 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom places, that type of thing. So that was my very first app, and I remember my dad paid me actually for that. I worked through school holidays, and that's where the love for, I think, real estate. At that stage, I think I was the only kid in school that understood the term days on market and stuff like that, you know. So that's where it all started, and from there, I know I wanted to do programming. That was my love. But at that stage, the universities none had computer science degrees. You know, it was like a new thing. And at that stage, that's the thing that's not really a career, at that stage. Yeah. So it was more like a hobby. But after I did my national service, I went to university. I studied engineering and applied maths because I loved maths. So I combined that. And then I was lucky enough to get a job with a company that employed me and did software development, and everything I knew was self-taught. All the software development skills. Obviously did courses and stuff, but everything self-taught, and from there just sort of blossomed. Went on to join a startup after that. After a few years, worked there 2 years, developed workflow systems and stuff for some of the banks. Worked on some other projects, and then I saw the opportunity with the internet that started in, when was it? It was 92 or 93, I think, first commercial internet in South Africa. And once again saw the opportunity with my dad's state agency at that stage to do a website, build a website with HTML, and it looked horrible if I look back now, but at that stage it was like state of the art. It was absolutely brilliant, and from there some of the other agencies saw that, and they wanted the same thing. And at that stage, I was visiting clients one by one. Every client sat with them. What do you want? Let's develop this, and that's how it all started. And at that stage as well, I saw the opportunity for developing a like let's have a central source of listing data, and that's where my property was started. So my property was actually started first, and then Entegral sort of came as a result from that, because then it was like, okay, we need tools to list these properties and upload the photos and stuff like that. Okay. So it was a very, very long organic journey. Obviously, as you know, no investors. And that's how we've kept it through the years. We sort of own our freedom, take pride in our work, and we try to stay close to our customers. Yeah, so that's how it started, and today we are about 15, 16 people in the company. We work remotely. We actually
have you always worked remotely?
No, we actually had offices just down the street here from you, and I got totally fed up with the traffic, because I lived in Loneal, and I had to drive here, which easily took half an hour to an hour depending on the traffic, you would know. And the rest of my staff did the same. Did the calculations, 10 people, 10 hours a day times 50 hours, 200 hours. Okay, that's one extra employee I could have, but I'm not paying for. Fed up with that, and cost savings as well. That's a factor, but the main thing was the being tied to the office, and at that stage as well, the sort of the lack of talent that you can get in a geographical area around the office, especially at that time with software development. Was very few people to choose from at that time. So we said, well, let's open this up. If I can work remotely, then I can employ anyone anywhere in the world to work with me as well.
Okay.
And then I can get very specific skill sets as well. And we gave it a try. We actually employed our first employee. This guy from India, Satish, is still with us today. Can you imagine that? And he's worked out brilliantly. And that gave us the confidence to say, well, you know, we can do this. We can now go remote. So so about 10 years ago, we decided, well, let's come in less to the office. It's like let's come in three days a week, and then 2 days a week, 1 day a week, and then okay, let's give notice of the offices, and then let's get Regis office space that we rented once a week, and we tried that for a few months, and then we said, okay, every 2 weeks, every month, and then it's like, okay, now we can just work from home. So it's a very progressive approach, and we try to make it work. Again, a lot of trial and error. We had to figure out how customers will phone us, and then hand that call over to anyone. Today it's easy, but that stage, voice over IP was, software phones was quite a new thing. So we had to figure out how to make that work. But yeah, all these little things, the tools that you use to manage people. And then the biggest learning curve for me was the trust factor. And that's why many companies fail with the remote work thing is the trust. On a management level, they just don't have the trust in the people, because you can't see the people. That's why some of these companies have cameras and all sort of logging tools to see if you're sitting in your seat and work and doing work. And that was a learning curve for me. And through that, I learned to employ the right people, the right attitude, just like you would. It's so important to employ the right agents. And that made all the difference, getting the right people on board. And then the trust just grew from there. And now we just, everyone trusts each other. There's a mutual understanding of if anything breaks, it's joint responsibility to fix things. It's not handed off to someone, although it's someone's responsibility, but we all take pride in the work that we do. Yeah.
Okay.
That was the short answer.
So listen, you do a lot of reading up on the US, and I know Philip likes to also check statistics and everything, So why are you so interested specifically in the US and how their property is going? Do you think South Africa is kind of following, or are you just bringing in new tools because you see them done somewhere else?
Yeah, there's I think everyone is following the US trends, what the top portals, Zillow is doing. Our portals are replicating a lot of that. A lot of the US franchise models have replicated in South Africa. There's a lot of trends, but it's also very different markets. Where in the US you have a buyer and seller agent. It's a dual transaction. Where in South Africa you normally have one listing agent that does all the work. So it's similar, but also very different. Still believe South Africa is very unique, and that you can't just go and replicate what they have there. Yeah, but there's some good points. Definitely on the tech front, they are quite far ahead. But,
Oh, really?
But nothing we can match. The portals here have matched over the years, and the listing systems. For instance, one, the base system that you use with automatic lead imports, where we can import all the leads from all the portals. there's a company US that does that, and they charge quite a bit of fees for that. Where it's just included in the package. We made it work. We made it very cost effective.
Okay.
So yeah, no, nothing except maybe Matterport virtual tours that we can't replicate here.
Why can't you though? You've got your own
Yeah,
360.
we've built a 360 tour solution where you can take any 360 camera like the
Mm.
Ricos or one of these newer cameras, and you can build your own 360 tours. But it is you have to obviously take the photos and then put them together in a sequence so that it looks like you know walking through a house. But it's a lot more cost effective. So some of our clients are using that. It's good for remote buyers just to give a bit better perspective. But just like Matterport, as soon as you, with the high resolution cameras these days, you can zoom in basically on any area in the house now.
Mm.
So there's a crack in the tile, so it doesn't hide. You don't have the opportunity to hide any problems in a property. With normal photos, everything is staged. You can, if you take a photo here, remove everything that doesn't look good, and maybe don't include the ugly portrait on the wall or something like that. So it's but I still think it's good for remote buyers. Yeah, just to give a better experience. But the tech behind that is phenomenal, and it's
From a Matterport point of view.
yeah, Matterport point of
Have you
view.
used the tours?
There's a company in South Africa that basically they have a floor plan, and then they take so it shows the house's floor plan, and then they take a picture in every room, but a 360.
Yes.
So then they mark picture 1 in the kitchen. So when you click on picture 1, you can do a 360 of the room, and then you can see it on the floor plan. So that sort of way they bet you get to see the layout of the house and the room as a whole.
Yes, yes.
And as I'm sitting here, I'm thinking that is a quite effective way of doing it. But then that's also why we're doing the walkthrough videos, so that you can also see the layout and basically the whole room, because we don't just move in and out. You sort of shift the camera so that you'll be able to see everything. So yeah, I'm just sitting here trying to figure out.
Yeah, but Marissa, that's good. But you walk through videos, that's on a different level. It's a bit more personal because you can add voice, and you guys are I see as the experts in video walkthroughs. South Africa, number of followers and stuff you have, it's quite phenomenal. So, I mean that I'm almost thinking that works better than a virtual tour, because you automatically list that tour on YouTube, right? So
Yes.
you get more views and stuff.
Yeah, it's we find it's also because it has an entertainment factor, and so you find people sit and watch it just for fun. And
Yes.
what if someone who's watching it for fun then ends up seeing something they like, and then
It's a draw card, eh?
or it reminds them of the cousin who's looking, and then they send the link. So I think it just allows for more interaction from that side. And I'm curious to hear what your opinion is on all the portals that we have in South Africa, but it kind of gives us an opportunity to be seen outside of the portals, because what we find is if someone comes to our YouTube channel, the chances are they enjoy it enough to see a few properties that are all our clients' properties. Now with the portal, and let's say the biggest one, how many thousands, I have no idea, but hundreds of thousands of properties on there. I'm competing, my owner is competing with how many hundreds of thousands. So it was also one way of getting the properties that belong to our owners seen and entertained and keep the attention for longer.
And I assume it's a big exclusive mandate draw card as well. If you can show, you have that following on YouTube, you do these videos.
Look, it definitely can be.
Yeah.
But again, with agents, it's down to us really can we convey the value that we give. So definitely it is a massive benefit to the owners, but whether, it's down to us as agents, whether we can actually convey that value to the owner.
I had a look at one of your videos, enjoyed the video that you did with Philip as well, but there was another one, I don't know if you were involved with, where you explained the luxury features. What are you getting if you pay 20-30 million rand on a
Philip was the cameraman, and Joel and I were. So what we do is we do the camera work within the agents themselves.
Yes.
The reason why is because we kind of have an idea what our potential buyer wants to see.
True.
So we don't actually use an external camera person. So sometimes it might not even be as professional, but you're hoping that your colleague kind of knows what they want to show. But we did that for one of our properties with the idea to also show the public what difference the build makes, and what the features, because you don't always understand, why would one house cost 5 million and one would cost 50.
Yeah, and it's the same size property. What you're paying for, I found that quite educational, very interesting in terms of, you highlighting the specific feature, but at the same time also marketing that property, which is excellent. And I think the other thing is it showcases your expertise as an agent to understand, this is what I'm paying for. If you bring a buyer here and he's like, why is it 10 million, not 9 million? You can show them, look at those, the $1 million tree, $1 million rand tree in front of the house, or something like that. So I think that's an excellent way to showcase your expertise, which you won't get through a virtual tour.
I guess virtual tour is also hard work, I think.
It is, and that's
to create, but also as a viewer to navigate.
Virtual tours, the system we have now allows you to take a camera, you put it on a tripod, and you get out of the room or hide, and you take the photo, and then you have the 360 photo. But the one before that, we developed software that stitched you had to take individual photos. So you had to stand on a point, and then on a tripod, and then you take photos all the way with about 20-30% overlap. So then you'll have, say, 20 photos, and then you put it in our software app, and then it stitches everything together into a 360 image. Okay. And that was a lot of work just to get one 360 view of a room. Okay. But it looked awesome at that stage, even if it was low resolution. But it was a bit complicated, so the agents didn't understand it at that stage. So I remember I did it. I had to personally go out and do these tours, help with that, and do some of these tours. And later, employee helped, and later we said, well, this is quite admin intensive.
Yeah.
We're not sticking to our core work here, although we're showing agents how to use that. And luckily, the 360 cameras then started to come out and make things easier. And that's the whole thing of technology. It just helps streamline things a lot more.
What use are you guys finding for ChatGPT and stuff like that? Or maybe not ChatGPT, but AI?
Well, I think everyone is using ChatGPT was a hit, and everyone is using it now. And it's just got so much better now with the memory function. I don't know if you guys use it, but I use it extensively. So I was went for a health assessment the other day, and I just took photo of the report. That's my cholesterol this and that, and now I can ask the AI, ChatGPT, what was my blood sugar levels, anything at that stage, and I use it quite extensively in Integral to fuzz out ideas, and because of the memory, it now has a better picture of how everything works. If I talk about base, the listing system, it knows what base is. It knows what every portal is. It understands a lot of things. So if you ask it a question, it now has context. I think that's quite a benefit for agents as well that I see. But other than using it on a personal level, and I encourage my staff to use it as well, we use AI models to help us code, which is an absolute game changer. It makes a good programmer, a software developer 10 times better. It's just, but it won't take someone that doesn't have a good understanding of software development and suddenly make him a genius. Maybe one day. But you still need the basic principles of how things need to work. But we've started using that, and it's having an impact. I think this year we'll see a lot more features and stuff being rolled out. Even I'm getting involved. So I've for instance helped develop the insights tool in Base that does the property valuation reports and stuff. I don't want to give too much away, but it did a really great job. And it's not like you can just give it an instruction and say, well, develop this. You need to check everything, but it's progressing at such a rate that it's hard for us to keep up with where things are going. So right now you can give it some instructions, and it can work on multiple problems at the same time. Look at your source base, understand everything, check out code, and then push it back in for your review, that type of thing. So at this stage we're actively using it, but also figuring it out and seeing where exactly is this AI's place. Is it sort of on the top of the food chain or the bottom?
Okay.
But it's leveling the playing field in terms of the expertise available to us, and even your agency. You can go and ask it legal questions, and it will know the answers. So there's an impact on the real estate, on the software industry, on the legal professional. I think we'll see a big impact there as well. Don't know if the guys will bring down their fees. That will be great. But everywhere, and I think on the portal space as well, we'll see all to the benefit of the consumer. That's what it's all about, the consumer.
Do you think it will replace your job?
Well, I'm very curious with the property report, what you're using to come to the conclusion of the value.
Yeah.
Because that's sort of something we're doing by ourselves at the moment. So you're basically comparing the recent sales, and you're looking what's in the market, and then as well as your professional opinion, as you've been working in the area for a certain amount of time. So you sort of know what clients want, what they don't want, and layouts, garden size, small things. So that all goes into a property, like a value, comparable market analysis. Let me not say valuation. So before I get in trouble.
So the PPRA comes after us.
So
I'm actually very curious to find out what goes into that and how you've done that.
So our property reports on that stage, it's got very limited info in terms of the sales data. We spoke about it extensively this morning, and that's still where the agent has so much value to understand exactly how how properties actually compare, to understand your local neighborhood. This property is a lot less, but wow, it's sitting right opposite a very busy shopping center, whatever, So that expertise from the agents are still so, uh, needed. But over time, the AI models thrive on data. The more data you have, the more valuable your model. So the more input parameters you can have, if you take, say, land extent, you can give it a weight or value of, say, okay, that impacts the property 10%. But now you take the floor area, and that's a lot more important. Same with maybe the pool, or the geolocation of the property. And ideally, what's already happening overseas is to do CMAs based on actual photos of listings. Look at the quality of the kitchen, because AI models, if it's trained on that, it can differentiate a modern kitchen with a old kitchen. It can describe the style of the kitchen. It can identify, appliances even, and stuff like that, if it's high resolution images. So we're moving towards like what they call a multimodal input in terms of CMAs, where we input the photos of the house, you input historic deeds data that we have, which is part of the solution, and then there is the active input from the agents that understand the market. And that is the most valuable input, I think, at this stage, apart from the others. Someone that understands the market and knows that there's quite a big price difference between these two properties because of these parameters. So agents are key in training these AI models.
But do we want to? Do we want to be done away with?
That's the question from every business, even in our business. Do you train these models and then they take over your work? So Elon Musk said one day we'll not have to work, because AI, will do everything, and we'll need a basic salary for everyone just to buy things.
Then we'll all be depressed alcoholics.
Yeah.
Because you need to have some drive, and you need to have some challenges in life, isn't it?
You need to work. Is not bad. Work, you must enjoy it. Do you enjoy your work? Do you get up in the morning and say, well, geez, I can't wait to get to work?
No, I do enjoy it. It's something, there's something new every day.
That's the thing.
So every transaction, no transaction is the same as the previous, no listing is the same. So I must say there's a lot more admin involved in this job as people think. So
that you don't enjoy.
Actually, like, you sort of learn to balance both. You need to be in the office and do the background stuff, but then also in the field with the viewings and the appointments. So there are days that you want less interaction, but then you can spend time on admin, and there's days you want to be out in the field, and then you have inquiries to work with. So I think it's quite nice, best of both worlds.
Yeah.
But I mean, I actually don't think we are anywhere near AI taking over, because it's exactly that whole thing where whenever you call a call center and it starts with, this is an automated conversation, you literally switch off. But because there's so much, I think, human element and emotion involved in selling properties, I think if you have the proper professional that is navigating, the buyer or the seller, both,
Yeah.
I think a lot of deals will be lost, or properties, either they'll fall through because at some point someone experienced remorse and it was down to the agent to keep tempers right. You know, we're talking professional people, obviously. We're not talking, you know, the unethical people. But if you don't have that human touch, who recognizes that it's not just selling property, specific square meterage and all that, but you're also selling an emotion, and you're dealing with emotional people,
It's the
you
emotional
need that
aspect.
human. I mean, if we all start integrating chips in our heads at some point, maybe in 50 years time, then, you know, everyone will react in a super rational way.
Will you get a chip
Will I get a chip? No, I
that
don't.
gives you
I
instant
can't.
access to Google search, anything you want to know? Just think
So,
about it, and then there's the answer.
so that is the amazing part of it. But I come from an ex-communist country
Oh,
where
yes,
they
yes, too.
control you to death.
Yeah.
So what
Doesn't
what
play
I'm hearing is a way to know what goes on in my head, a way to explode my head if I misbehave.
Yeah. If the systems go down, everyone is like dumb. It's like, oh.
Yeah.
I think ChatGPT was, we used it. Yeah, it was down last week, and like,
Oh, really?
yeah, it's
You
for
know,
a moment.
on that day, unknowing that ChatGPT was down, I wrote my own email to someone, did not have it proofread. I didn't even know ChatGPT was
Okay.
down, and I was fine.
But you know, yeah, that's the difference. I think in future with everyone's climbing on the AI thing, and you need to be authentic. People appreciate
Yeah.
authenticity. Yeah,
Yeah.
everything is going to look very similar, and yes, Marisha, with a very personalized, unique email. English is also not
Grammatically
my
incorrect.
yeah. English is not my first language either, so my writing and everything is also, you know, have to spell check and stuff. But yeah, it adds a little bit of a unique local flavor, and everyone is okay with that. You don't have
Yeah.
to be perfect. We live
Look,
in
I
a,
think it's also there is an element of scary when you are when things become, everyone has to use one thing, and I think
yes,
that
yes.
brings me to your whole property portal setup. You one of the top property portals, but you fighting with the biggest two. Or competing. I don't know
Yeah,
that you're fighting.
competing.
Or you did fight at some point, did you not?
Competition commission fight. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
that was a tough one.
So
but,
that is scary, because if you get to a point like we currently as agents and owners are stuck with this one property portal or these two property portals,
it's a danger. Yeah.
it's a danger. So what do you do? How do you make yourself stand out?
It's a worldwide problem, and everyone says you can't compete with a number one portal. You know, it's you know, I think it takes one person or one company to prove that wrong, and have the guts to prove that wrong. Unfortunately, the top portals around the world are investor driven, so these guys expect you know, good return on investment. Same with Property 24, Zillow, Rightmove, REA Group in Australia, which is the most profitable real estate portal in the world.
Oh, really?
Yeah, fees are much higher than Property 24. Yeah, so although most of that is paid for by the seller, actually, different model. That's a nice idea for South Africa. Let the seller pay for the Property 24 fees.
So we'll sell it themselves.
Let them decide where they want to advertise. Well, they do have the most eyeballs at the moment. So there's a lot of money that goes into these portals, and they simply reinvest money into improving the product, running more ads. And right now, Property 24 is at this stage where it's a household name. It doesn't have to, you know, put in massive amounts of money to advertise, because everyone knows, you know, where to go. And that's the challenge for any challenger portal at this stage, even more so for us, as to catch them, you need excessive amounts of funding, or you need to bring in something that's unique to the market, that's really sticky, that will bring people to your portal for the entertainment factor, or just to browse, or to make an inquiry. But at the same time, to win that game, you need all the listings. You need that half of the battle is won if you have all the listings. And that's where we are now with My Property. We made it free to list. We're going to keep it free forever for all estate agents. There's value-added services where you can pay for enhanced profile and this and that. But we're going to keep it free, very optimized portal, so it doesn't cost us a lot to run. So it's not like, we're making losses on that portal.
Okay.
And that same tech that we use on that portal is used on your website. It's used to power on your website. So if we introduce a new feature on your Flex website, on the Lux Live website, we can use the same feature on My Property, and vice versa. So it's not like when we do development on there, we're actually investing back in our clients. So that's a unique thing. And then one of the things we are trying to do is to elevate the role of the professional estate agent in South Africa. There's a lot of estate agents, but we want to elevate people like yourself who really have a deep understanding of real estate, where you don't get, tons of bad reviews in Google. Spoke about that this morning, fake reviews, which is a big problem. Trying to elevate those profiles to show the public that it is worthwhile. You're worthwhile not to pick the first agent, because stats in the US and those stats in South Africa show that it's crazy figures. Some like 60 or 80% of people just choose the first agent that they contact.
Is that how a seller would choose an agent? Is that what the stats say?
Yeah, that's the NAR stats. So majority of, I don't know exact figures, but the majority are just choosing the first agent. But then again, that the situation there is different, because if you list with the agent, the selling agent there is exposed to almost 80 or 100 MLSs, multi-list systems in the US across all the states.
Okay.
And every buyer's agent has access to that. So if you as a buyer's agent have access to all the stock, most of the stock in the market. So it is, I guess, less harmful to choose any agent as your listing agent, because you still get the exposure from all the buyer's agents.
Okay.
So
did you work the MLS system with your previous company, where you sell other agents' properties, or?
So it's I don't really understand the background of it, but it was, so you had your personal website, which would be like ours. So you go on, you have all the listings that are listed, and then each agent would then have the picture. So if it's your listing, your picture would be there. If it's mine, then my picture would be there. But then there was also a second one where you could basically, it's the same thing, but now my face is on all the stock. So that's the one you'd sort of share.
Yeah, so that's a basic. So yeah, there's a few MLSs in South Africa. The West Rand has a big one, the East Rand, which is which my dad actually helped start. He started that one of the biggest in the country. And I helped roll out the systems to estate agencies with dial-up modems in my school holidays. So I have a good understanding of MLS. But yeah, the listing shares, so you have a listing, and according to the MLS agreement, you have to put that listing in the MLS database. And now every agent that is part of that database can take buyers to that property, and the seller is aware that this is part of a multi-list system, so any of those member agencies can take can take the buyer to the seller. Yeah.
And statistically, do you see a benefit to the sellers for having that kind of system, or is it area specific?
The slogan still is in my mind. It's like teamwork sells. That was one of the MLS. Teamwork sells. So the idea is the more agents in a closed environment, it's not open. It's not really an open mandate. It's a multi-list mandate. So you have some control over it. Because you have like open hours where all the agents go and input their, suggested asking prices, and you get an average, and the seller sees everything. So from a seller's point of view, really, really attractive that they can get price estimates from, say, 10 or 20 agents from that open hour with comments. Oh, you need to fix your lawn, fix the crack, this and that. So there's benefit for the seller in terms of getting the price spot on, depending on the commission share and stuff. I know the current MLS systems run well, but it's not national. It's in certain communities that it works quite well. It certainly gives from an agency point of view, if you start a new agency, you can join one of these MLSs, pay a fee, and now you suddenly have access to all this stock. So you can hit the ground running. So if you want to stimulate independent agency growth in South Africa, you would, I think, focus on this, and then more agencies can get access to the stock. But as we know, it's not all about access to stock. It's about expertise. And
I was going to say, our slogan is "Who you work with matters," and I can't actually imagine.
Yes.
Because if your owner is, there is a benefit to opening it to other agents only if those other agents are professional, ethical.
That's right.
Know their stuff, not so. Yeah, I think you have to trust the people you work with a lot,
but that's
and they're another agency.
Yeah, you spot on. I think that's why we have a lot of, like Nicole, someone showed that we have a lot of these private groups, WhatsApp groups. That's almost like the new MLS. You have this private WhatsApp group with agents from other agencies that you trust. Say, well, please help me sell this listing. It's been on the market now for 2 weeks or whatever. It's priced right, and those agents can contact you, say, well, okay, I'm prepared to do a 50-50 split or whatever, and you say yes, and then you try to do the deal, and I don't know, that benefits the seller, because one deal is better than no deal, or delaying the sales process by 6 months, whatever, because you think you can sell that property, but in the meantime, one or two partner agencies do have someone that just doesn't know about that property. So there is value in that, but not everyone wants to work together. It's business.
Yeah. Well, it's like you and the portals you're up against.
Yeah.
How did you end up being so strong in Namibia? Property 24 wasn't interested, or?
Yeah, no, look, it's a small market for them, and they are in a couple of other African markets where the portals just churn over and it's free to list, I think in most. But yeah, I was actually born in Walvis Bay, small coastal village. So quite ironic that I've now ended up on the other side of the African continent in Niger, also in a small village. But yeah, big love for Namibia, and we just saw the opportunity when we launched the portal. I think a couple of years later, when we launched My Property, we said, well, let's try this in Namibia, and we got 1 or 2 agencies on board. And then it just grew from there, because there there were portals there, but we provided. I think we nailed just a quicker search experience, faster loading pages, higher quality photo galleries that we've always been know that that makes a difference. Even on your website, if you go to the LuxLift website, you browse properties, there's these big photo galleries, and just looks so much better than any other website. But those things really helped, and now we have the biggest market share there. Portal is thriving, and ironically, it's a free to list portal if you use the Entegral systems. If you don't use, we charge us like a couple of $100 if you use another system, but it's to carry the cost of operational cost. So it shows you that a free to list portal can work and is sustainable, and it can work here as well. And the Namibian market is very small. There's a lot fewer estate agents. You have a few key towns like Windhoek and Swakopmund and Walvis Bay, Henties Bay, and so on. There's how many people are in Namibia? I think 2 million. Yeah, something like that. So it's a lot smaller market, but we're happy with what we have there. The clients are happy. They're certainly happy not paying the fees that they have to pay here. So what we are finding is that they are investing, using those savings, and pushing that into social media ads, stuff like that. A lot of the clients have a big success with the flex ads, the dynamic Facebook ads that we run. It diversify the leads, that it comes from multiple sources, which I think is a good thing. You don't want to end up in a situation where you want to get, say, 80% of your leads from one portal.
Which is what's happening at the moment in South Africa, right?
Yeah. So you want to diversify. I mean, you guys are doing that, not having all your eggs in one basket. So you are looking at your website, looking after that, keeping it fresh and updated. You are looking after your social pages, your YouTube. If you didn't have the main portals, you would still be able to generate leads because people will still be able to find you. And too many agents are focusing on just one portal. And we think the answer is support as many portals as humanly possible. Certainly the free portals. The return on investment is unlimited. You're not paying anything, but you get a possible lead. Even if you get one lead a year, and that converts into a sale, then it's like more than worth it. And you've supported the cause. So we are on a mission to help just reimagine the portal space, and we know it's going to take time. We need all the support from the estate agents, but it's that's our good fight. In every business, you need a good fight. You need to stand for something.
Something noble.
It's not just about the money. I'm sure it's not just about the money for you.
Yeah.
Philip?
No, for me, it's just the money. Philip doesn't need money. He's rich.
No, it's you sort of enjoy when you enjoy it when you take pictures and it comes out nice, and when you get to see the house, and there's sort of design aspects to it that you be like, oh, that I want to implement that in my own one day.
You take pride in your work.
So it's not just the money. You sort of enjoy the properties as well, and the clients. I enjoy getting to work with buyers.
It's really great. So from such a young age as well, you look young. So I think it's such a good time to get into this space. I mean, just imagine where you'll be if you commit. Where you'll be in 5 or 10 years. You'll be the king of Centurion, or wherever the road takes you.
But I mean, you come up with other ways also, so that you can sell a property that you're not necessarily getting an inquiry from a portal, but you like trying to connect people within an area that might potentially want something else. So, in terms of innovation and ways to find a buyer for a specific seller, you've taken it one step further.
Yeah, a lot of the areas they complement each other. So if you have a lot of estates close to each other, tap into all of them, because inquiries you can move them around. And if you're in Centurion but you're getting a lot of leads in Joburg, why not team up with someone in Joburg?
Exactly.
Well, that's if you don't have someone there already within your company, but so there's different ways to look at it. And even if you get a lead in Cape Town, don't just pass it on, but rather look a bit into it, and maybe you'd be able to find a solution yourself, instead of just having pawned it off.
You have to put in elbow grease, huh?
But I mean, what I found quite interesting what you did is looking at a specific owner and identifying if they own more than one property, and then looking at ways to add value to their portfolio. So if you've identified someone is now an investor because you can see they own 5-6 properties via the reports.
Exactly.
Then you can say, okay, either this person is building a portfolio, or they might benefit from getting a valuation on all of their properties, which...
Exactly.
Yeah, recently I actually, that's very true. Like, you sort of look at what other properties that person owns, and it changes your approach towards that person. So if they only have one property in their name, then you know it's a primary residence, and that when they sell there, they're going to have to move. So it sort of changes the small aspects towards the deal, because now you can't necessarily bring someone in who wants early occupation, because that this is their house and they're going to sell it and then move on to the next. So it changes small things. But recently I saw someone who had a house in the market in the area I work in, and saw his other properties he owned, and 2 of his others were also in the market. So that sort of, if you're going to see him about his one, why not just do a CMA on the 2 others as well? And that would sort of impress that person, because he'd be like, how did you know that? And there's just a bit of extra, bit more attention you've put into it.
I'm someone that loves attention to detail and bit of extra effort
and connecting dots.
I think too many agents follow some recipe that they've learned on a 10-20-year-old training video that was produced, and touch points of a customer and this and that, and those days are over, especially with tech. So you say you can draw detailed info on properties, or the only details, and get a lot more context around that person.
And I mean, even with you and the way you guys are adding onto your system, because now this is one contact, you can link to many properties. In your case, you're linking it now to FICA checks, because we are forever given more tasks as agents, more we're now investigators, financial officers, whatnot.
It's as Philip said as well, as the admin side of things is a less fun thing to focus on, and that's the thing we try to streamline and automate as much as possible. So the FICA app also came from, we saw the frustration with agents using different system, costs were high, so we just reduced the cost. We made it one of the few pay-as-you-use systems in the market, and one of the only, I think, where you pay as you use, and all the documentation, everything that you upload is saved for the required 5 years, full audit trails, everything is there. So the next step for us, as I've mentioned this morning, is for us to connect these dots and link the FICA and the e-signatures that we're busy with, prototype, bring it all together, and this lovely feedback from your team that we wouldn't have thought of because we don't sell houses. So sessions like these are critical, and brings a lot of value from that. Now I can go back to my team and say, well, we have to do this in base and link this and make it easier. Sometimes it's the little things that makes the world of difference. The speed of the system, simplicity. It's much harder. It's easy to add features. It's much harder to remove stuff and make things simpler. But that's where the gold is. That's where you have to be. That's where we try to move. Try to remove all those little buttons and fields and stuff as much as possible.
Yeah.
And that's why we're reluctant to just go and add features. It's easy to add a button or a new field, whatever, but there's a support overhead that you don't see. There is extra code that you have to support long term. You have to strike a balance there. I guess same way you have to strike a balance with buyers and sellers. How far do you want to help a buyer that is just a very difficult person? I'm sure you've met many like that.
We don't have difficult people. They just everyone is different.
Everyone is different
in their own way.
That's really nice.
But it's almost like when you many years ago in my previous job, someone was trying to make us design an app, and then the software people said everything has to be 2 clicks away. If you have to click more than twice, then we need to simplify further to get like to a point. So what I like about your system is that, yes, some things maybe will be more than 2 clicks away, but not you don't have to follow some convoluted route to get to something. So it is also intuitive. If you didn't watch any tutorials, you still can find your way around.
That's the thing. It saves support time, and exactly like you said, reduce the clicks, and that's why a company like Amazon is just so successful, because they introduced that one buy button. Just click on it. Well, at least in the US, we just click on buy something, and the next moment the package is dropped in front of your door. So you reduce that whole checkout process just with buy. So we have to move to that point to reduce all those complexities, and that's where innovation happens. We have all these points, and then suddenly you remove all these middle parts and just bring the endpoints together. And I think with AI, especially, you can help reduce it much quicker now. I think we're in for a wild ride. I think there's tremendous innovation coming, not only from us. I think the biggest danger right now is for me to sit here and think we'll be okay in a year or two, because I'm guarantee you there's going to be another company, a new startup, very energetic founders that's going to build another base or another portal, another flex website system, and they're going to try to do it better and much quicker. And with AI now, you can build these systems much quicker. Where I remember there was a property professional, someone said, you need 10 million rand to build a property portal, which at that time was questionable, because we could do it 10 times less. But
still a lot of money.
Yeah, but right now you can build a portal, if you really want, in a week.
Really?
Build the code with AI. but then the challenge is, how do you execute that? You need someone that understands the market and knows how to execute it, understands that if someone searches for a property, the search features, the price range is much more important than anything else, like the pool, whatever, and how to display the listings, what is important to display on the results, stuff like that. So the cost of expertise has dropped. It's it's exciting time for us, and I think for companies like yours as well, is that you have these experts on demand from basically any field. If you have there's a lot of legal questions. The attorneys always complain to me about the agents, what's happening, what we're going to do here, this and this and that. Now they can just use ChatGPT and get a very good answer.
Yeah.
And worst case scenario, just confirm that answer with the attorney, which saves a lot of time. We've for instance build a like a chat bot AI interface in my property a year ago. So it's on the homepage. There's like an ask button, and you can ask. We've trained it on property legal data. So we've gave it some narrow training because at that time AIs were hallucinating quite a bit. It came up with false information, but it made the answer look so good that it was believable.
Yeah, I remember.
So we thought, okay, well, we need to train this bot on this model on just this data, and you have to tell it explicitly, don't make up answers, use the facts from all these legal documents, whatever information we have. And works quite well. We get not a lot, but we get sometimes 50 questions a day on that, and incidentally, most of that is sectional title related. So people asking if, do I have rights to paint the outside of my unit? Who's responsible for that? Or I want to extend my unit. What is the process I need to follow? Or they've increased the levies. What can I do now? And
Nothing.
Nothing.
Sell.
Stuff like that. So it shows you there's an appetite for that. The danger for agents at this stage, and not this stage, but as people get more comfortable using AI, is that they now have these experts on their side, and at some point they will get access to more accurate sales data, these AI crawlers and everything, and companies will supply the data. We'll possibly get the point to where in a few years a seller will input all these multimodal data points. I have 3-bedroom, 2 bathrooms. Here's my photos, location, and it comes back with a very good estimate. And through the years, like I mentioned earlier with my dad, who had these listing books and stuff, the agent was the source of information. He had control of that. And we moved to newspapers and then the web, and the seller and buyer basically moved closer to the transaction. And they, over the years, we will see them move even closer to have, understand exactly what's going on, having the AI experts that guide them. And this is going to be a danger for agents who are not willing to learn to upskill themselves, but it's going to be a benefit for professional agents that know their stuff. It's going to be agents just amplify their qualities and their skills and allow them to do more.
Mm.
So I think we will see a fallout from inexperience, or not inexperience, but agents not willing to learn and be up there with the best, and the top agents now suddenly doing more transactions than before, because when you do a viewing scheduling, your Mauritius AI bot will handle that scheduling, coordinate the calendars, work out the driving time, tell the buyer that, automatically an hour before the time, be ready, to go out, get feedback, consolidate that feedback, and put it into a report type of thing, which would have taken you hours. But now suddenly you have this AI agent that scheduling agent, whatever it is. So we'll have these bots that all talk to each other, and they work for you. That's important. I think they should work for you, not replace you, because I do believe we need that human element.
The psychologist, yeah.
Yeah.
Have you been a psychologist of late?
I don't think I'm very good at it, but
Yet.
yeah, you sort of find yourself in that position where need to be mature, very mature emotionally. Where you need to read the room and adapt to that. I think the admin side, yes, AI will play a huge role, and it would be smart of the agent to utilize that. But yeah, it's difficult because there are properties within the same estate. Some are in the market for a very long time at 11,000 rand a square, where others sell within a week at 19,000 rand a square. So that's dangerous for a seller, because if he sees, a place sold at 19,000 rand a square within a week, I'm gonna list at 20,000 rand a square. So it's a danger, because there are properties in that same estate for 11,000 rand a square not selling. So if you're gonna have your comparable market analysis based off of AI and what they're telling you, you might miss the mark. Maybe yes, maybe one in every few might be accurate and you're happy, and you list it 5% under and you can sell it yourself, but there's also that chance that you're doing it wrong and you won't know it. And then
it's the thing, you won't know it.
you're like, no, but ChatGPT told me so. So you're wrong. ChatGPT is smarter than you. But then the house has been in the market for a long time. Why hasn't it sold? So then there's proof that something's not right. So yeah, I think the admin side, it would be smart to make use of AI for that.
Yeah, the legalities, the admin. The other day I was asked a question, and I mean, every day you get humbled by being asked a question you don't know the answer to. And because you think you're this expert with how many sales, how many whatever. And then, so here's the question. Let me know if you know the answer. So I'm trying to explain. It's a foreign buyer, and they're looking to buy now an investment property in Cape Town. So, and they were looking at apartments only because they want to Airbnb. And they see now, we're getting to an offer stage, and they see sectional title. So I explained to them what sectional title means. And now these people are European people that potentially they've seen this happen. And he says, oh, so one day when the building is old enough to be demolished, I own nothing. So, like, I've never had a property where the building was old enough to be demolished, but I would assume if it is mentioned that it has to be demolished now because whatever, then you get paid. Do you know the answer to that? What happens?
I actually don't know. How does a sectional title get to a state where it needs to be demolished? Maybe in Europe, when it's, I don't know how old some of those buildings are, is that it's not safe to live in anymore. But if you look at what sectional titles are, I haven't necessarily seen, well, if you maybe in our CBDs, you'd find buildings where they not in a state and they need to be demolished. And then what do you do now
But then that's the unfortunate fact of owning a place
Yeah.
that is no longer desirable if you are CBD
Yes.
place.
Yeah.
I don't know the answer. I actually meant to look it up via
Okay.
asking
Yes,
ChatGPT.
yes.
No, my answer was you have building insurance, which is covered by your levy.
Yeah.
So if something was to go wrong with the building, then
Yeah,
you have an insurance claim.
Yeah, true.
But I've never actually encountered a situation
Yeah.
where a building had to be demolished. But exactly to your point, I would work with ChatGPT on that.
Yeah.
But
A legal
that buyer still needed then me to say, to put their mind at rest that this applies to all apartment buildings worldwide. Because here it's called sectional title. Like you said, in Europe it's something else, but you still have that question, you know. So if we're just talking to ChatGPT and let's say, presuming it will answer, well, if that is the case, tough luck, you lose your property. Then your seller did not get an offer and your buyer decided, no, I'm not buying an apartment in Cape Town, even though it would be the exact same issue if he was to buy in Mexico or wherever else, you know.
Tell them, sir, chance of that happening is well after your time. So just be.
One would think. I mean, we have these questions all the time at the 99-year lease because we sell a lot of those in Waterfall.
Yeah.
And always it will say, oh, so, but what if after 99 years they refuse to renew? And I say, but that won't be your problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, that will be way past.
Although, as I mentioned this morning, with AI advancements, we might.
Oh, with the microchips.
Yeah, microchips and solving diseases. I think we will see an extension of human lifespan. I think if you're alive today, not hit by a bus, in the next 10 years, you are likely going to live longer than most other people did before you. And maybe we'll reach a stage where, you know, your brain is transferred into some microchip one day, and then that 99-year lease is going to come up, and this guy is going to stand there on the desk, and he's going to ask you.
Yeah. You know, some of the oldest people are found in some Italian mountainous village. They all smoke, drink wine, eat pizza and pasta.
I'm on the pizza. So yeah, it's.
Are you into pizza? So you're gonna live forever, but you must start drinking lots of wine. So they linked it to climbing, to being in a mountainous area where you have to do a lot of
exercise,
climbing.
Check that as well. I mean, Knysna do a lot of climbing. Yeah. So
but you're on sea level, so that will counteract.
Oh, okay.
So you'll still die.
Move higher up.
You won't live forever.
Have to do a couple of Everests or something like that.
Why did you move to Knysna?
For
the cycling.
I love the outdoors. Just love nature. Always loved it. And I think when you live in a city, you get a bit disconnected. You don't know what you're missing, type of thing. Always went there on holiday. We cycled and this and that. Just loved the place and thought, well, if we're going to do remote work thing, might just as well choose Knysna. And it was the perfect choice. So moved there, luckily, right before COVID. Got a place built there remotely, which was interesting. Everything worked out. Moved in, and then I think that January the virus broke out, and then lockdown was March 2020. The lockdown came in, and that was a strange period in human history. But loving it. Love the small town feeling, the open air, being in nature. Literally just stepping outdoor, taking my bike and riding into the forest there. So it's been good for the soul. It's made me a better person. If I think back and how I was like, before moving there, always very stressed, sitting in traffic, not, coming home late, now working from home, having the freedom to switch off at 5, take the dogs out and go run on the beach or somewhere. That's a lot more precious than any money in the world. And that's also extra motivation for not selling Integral to any competitor or larger investor or whatever, because it's a lifestyle we've built for the whole company and everyone is enjoying it. We have a lot of people with kids, so they have freedom. The other day, I think Jeanette or someone, they had a rugby match, one of the kids, a boy, and she wanted to attend it, and it was like a no-brainer. Like, go and watch, because there's always someone else in a company watching your back, and we take responsibility. It's not about watching the hours. It's about the outcome. Can you do the work? People take responsibility and catch up with work if they go out for a quick cycle, a jog, or whatever. So I encourage that. I actually encourage people to get up. I should do that a lot more, because with remote work, you actually sit a lot more in your seat, which is not good. You sit a lot more at your desk. But we have the rule: if you go out, just put your status in Slack on lunch, or go out for a quick run or whatever, and everyone knows. So, but that communication part with remote work is critical.
Okay.
You need that honest conversations, open conversations. You need to almost over communicate. I think you communicate more with people than what you would do in a normal office.
Okay.
You sort of a lot more detail, and the benefits. You don't have to walk over to someone's desk and tap him on the shoulder and say, "Hey, how does this work?" So you can. That's very important from a developer perspective, is the focus time, because if you do software development, you need that focus time. You work on a problem like 2-3 hours. If you get interrupted, it's gonna take you half an hour to get up to speed, and that same mindset again. Sometimes you can't get back into that.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's.
See, it's funny, as agents, we find
Totally different. Yeah.
it's different in the sense that we're trying actually to find a way that agents who are remotely based are still benefiting from the office
Yes.
exchange of, because the case studies, like what I just gave that example, that happens in a conversation.
Yeah.
That's not something that's everyone will benefit from, if they're all remotely based. And it's interesting. I mean, you're watching some of the companies like EXP's, advertising that they're completely remote.
Yeah.
But yet you see some. I actually haven't seen amazing agents from that company yet. Whereas with other companies that you see, maybe they get built within an environment, and then because it takes time to become very good at this. It's not a 1 year, 2 year progress.
I think to work as a virtual estate agent, you need a certain personality. You need to be comfortable with not going into an office. So I know, there's every company has good agents, but you need a specific agent to make remote work, to make it work, and certainly not for everyone. I know a lot of agents just they like going to the office and just getting that feedback and seeing people. I think the same with any other company. What we do at Entegral won't work possibly for a competitor. because your organizational structure and how we have a flat structure, I'm not like sitting on the top and commanding everyone. So
No, you're out riding your bike.
yeah.
You-
So it's a more supporting role, and that's why it doesn't, work for everyone. So if you suddenly take your whole team remote, you're gonna run into problems. You also need to figure it out and see, is this part of who we are? Do we want to make this work? That's the most important question. Do we want to make this work? And from our team, everyone wanted to make it work. And that's why most of the team are still with us today. And we've built incredible expertise over the years by having the same team. So someone like Jeanette or Janetta on the help desk, the clients love them because they understand if a agent comes up, oh, my listing doesn't feed to Property 24, this error, I can just immediately, tell them, look at this or that, and we fine tune the system. So there's a lot of value to just building that expertise in a company like ours, and setting the right values and also the culture. Many people believe you can't build culture in a remote work environment, but I differ. We've built a culture of delivering and of caring and of trying to to do the best we can.
Okay.
Other companies may have other cultures. It's that's our culture that we've built over the years. But I think for estate agents as well, it's very important to have these strong agents in your team who can ride out the storms, and in 10 years' time, you at least still have some of those top agents who set the culture and how you work. And poaching is a big problem in real estate. So that's a huge problem. I don't know if your agents are being poached or not, but yeah, it's a big problem in that industry.
I mean, we're getting the messages all the time.
Oh, okay.
But some of us came from big companies.
Yes, that's right. So you understand that's how they operate.
But also you kind of, you understand when someone phones you with a value proposition of come move over for 100% commission, if you've been there already, you kind of know that it's never the case.
It's not 100%.
And the funny thing is, we were, because we're now creating our own training academy and all that, and you read a lot of statistics, and it says that it's not really a sustainable model, the high commission splits, because then the company does nothing for the agent, because there is no
trade-off.
There is absolutely no money to actually. It's very expensive, as mentioned, all the portals, the legalities and all that. So to run a real estate company today is exceptionally expensive.
More expensive than say 10 years ago.
Way more.
Is it? Okay. Yeah, especially
way.
The rest.
So when you're adding all the legal requirements, that in itself is basically, firstly, you have to put all these systems in place, but you also have to add more salaried administrators just to chase the legal requirement.
It's true.
But also because we're trying to stand above the crowd, your marketing, your social media, literally, the all that comes with additional salaries, so sure, I can move to a place where I get 100, inverted commas, 100% commission, because that's never the case. But then I'm on my own. And
it is. It's very important for new agents. We actually get every now and again I get a question from a new agent. Which agency should I join? Give me some advice. And they unfortunately look at these commission splits and think, well, they're just gonna fly.
Yeah.
And the truth is, the 50-50 split is probably going to give you a lot more value than anything else. And
Yeah.
I always tell them, look at the owner, look at who is running that company. Are they going to be your mentor, or how does it work? Because I think the owner of the company that who drives that business, that sets the culture, that is what is going to take that agent from average to a performer.
Look, I mean, it's also down to the person, hey? I mean, you
sure.
can see, we've seen so many people that see the glamour. I'm going to sell these amazing houses. Look at they come to us because they've seen the website and the YouTube channel and all that, and they envision themselves walking through mansions, signing offers. None of the work before during how many years it took and all that. And I think it's the challenge is that people don't realize the iceberg under the water of what it takes to be an agent. So when the ones that are difficult to poach are the ones that have found the right spot, and they're not going to move for 2% extra or whatever the case may be, because that's not actually that they know what works. The ones that will be poached you probably didn't want in the first place. Or you weren't a good match. Sometimes people are amazing in their own right, and together they just don't
sometimes
gel.
that business just regresses, and it was a great business, and suddenly the owner dropped the ball and it's time to move, and then that agent is looking at new options.
But I mean, how do you keep reinventing yourself is what we keep constantly thinking of, because everything's moving so fast. Like you now trying to keep up with all the portals, and now you're adding Fika, you're adding all these features. Like you as an agent, what do you think of constantly to be different and to have your properties seen?
Yeah, it's so. As you work in the area, you start to notice what works and what doesn't. So you sort of hammer on what works, and you sort of adapt to what you see happens. And majority of the time, the other agents aren't doing the same. So after time, you'll see the fruit of it, and you'll be on top. But it does take time. There are small details you'd pick up, and you'd sort of want to make sure you understand that, and you seek out what you can do better. And if there is another agent in the area doing everything well, you'd sort of examine how they are doing it, and you'd sort of try and implement it and make it your own. And
learn from others.
Which means you need to commit for long enough, actually. You need to stay in one area long. If you keep jumping, because, I mean, changing areas, it's like changing agencies. Someone offered me more, or you look at another area, this area is selling more, or you see another agent post on social media, I've just sold 10 houses, You're like, let me quickly move.
Yeah, that's unfortunately not how it works.
Some agents have like this whole page of where they were, like 10, 20 different agencies.
Then you wonder who's the common denominator. Was it all the agencies were terrible? Or?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. Ever thought about that? Why do they keep jumping ship? Are they just gullible to, better, better commission splits, better offers? Is that all that?
I think it's taking accountability, because we pretty much, if you ask enough questions why something goes wrong, you pretty much always comes down to me. I did something wrong. I made the wrong move at some point, said the wrong thing, or didn't do enough. But it's very easy to blame someone else. But if I ask a few more questions, inevitably, and I mean not to be overly critical, but usually when something's going wrong for me, if I ask enough questions, it will come down to what I did wrong at some point.
Yeah, and you are both sides of coin. You started as an agent, you now have your own agency, so you understand how these things work. But I was always interested, maybe you told me once, but what, you were part of a big franchise group, you were, one of the top agents as well, things going great, and suddenly you had a team, I think teams are the future of real estate, and suddenly you decided to do your own thing. Was that the motivation or goal from the start, or did you just decide one
not
day?
at all. No, it was actually the opposite. I thought this will be, I would just be doing my own thing with the
Yeah.
big agency and
Okay.
the 100% commission, whatever.
Mm.
No, so what we realized as a team, and we were doing exceptionally well.
Yeah.
We left in our peak, so to speak, within the agency. What we realized as a team, funny you mentioned culture, is we were in such strong disagreement with the culture of that company that it was
Oh.
like becoming a daily
Oh,
bother, because
okay.
you now
Okay,
seen
yeah.
as someone, when someone knows where you're coming from, you're seen as
Mm.
coming from that culture, so you assume to be the same.
Oh, I see.
And we were completely different. So that was
Mm.
the one very strong factor.
Mm.
So we just didn't want to be associated with
Mm.
the culture that people
Understand. Yeah.
envisioned when they knew where we're coming from. But the second thing that was a massive factor as well was actually this whole 100% commission wasn't. So we started running a business within the business,
That's
because
what's
none of
happening now.
that, none of those promises, no marketing is done for you, no accounting is done for you, no admin is done for you.
Yeah.
Everything you have to pay,
Yes.
and then you get charged on a pay-as-you-go basis. But the stronger you become, the more you pay. So you end up hiring all these people. And then the other thing is, you then competing within your own company with other teams
Your own brand.
who are in your area. And now you're sending a mixed message to the owner, because if you call this owner today and I call them tomorrow, if we're from the same company, they'll be like, oh, no, don't worry, I'm already sorted, your colleagues already listed my property. And it kind of doesn't give me the freedom. I'm looking over my shoulder with my own people. I don't know at what point Philip's gonna now go after my people. My it was just a very strange, but it became, we did a rough calculation at some point, and after all the splits and all the desk fees and all the running costs, we were sitting on 25 to 40% commission of the total. And we were like, well, if that is the case, we may as well run our own company.
Yeah, so you made it some.
And take our chances, and then we have our own identity. We enforce the culture we want to enforce. We, well, not enforce, but, that we live.
Correct,
And that's why it started.
Yeah, that's very interesting. As you say, once a brand becomes so big, you start competing against your own brand. And I think for me, if I was an agent, I would now go out into an area. I would do flyers, whatever, marketing, ads online. But now I'm promoting the brand. Someone else sees Adriaan's real estate, whatever big franchise name, and then they contact my colleague. And your marketing spend, not
exactly
100% of your marketing spend is not going into your own brand. Although there's a good thing, you supporting the national brand in a way, but in a hyper local area, I don't know how well it works. So, but kudos for you for taking that jump.
And something else with the desk fee brands is their business model then becomes selling desk fees. Not necessarily the success of the agent. The success of the agent is secondary. If the agent's not successful, as long as they pay their desk fee, you're fine with that. Whereas with us, it's very expensive to have agents, and they better be successful for the company to be successful. So the success of the agents is basically critical for the success of our company because we do everything for the agents and all the costs are carried by the company.
Yeah.
So I think, look, for us, it's better. Of course, there's different people everywhere, and but we also couldn't. I mean, we have very strong ethical requirements. So, for instance, stupid example, but you know, stealing another listing's photos that is not your listing, and then it's a complete no-go within our small group, and it's very easy for all of us to know. Whereas if you're in a big company and there's other agents that do that or do something unethical with owners, those owners will then say, oh, I don't want to deal with that company as a whole. Now we all lose out on that.
A lot of politics
because of the bad apples that are there. Here, I believe we all, we're all very decent human beings. So at least we do away with that nonsense. You know?
Yeah, no, I'm not one for politics. So I wouldn't, if I was an agent, I wouldn't survive in an office like that where I'm just a number and there's politics and you stole my listing and this and that.
Exactly.
I'm going to tell the principal, and it would be, I wouldn't be able to work with that. So I think that's why independent estate agencies in South Africa is still thriving, because it is that personal experience and cultivating a bit of different culture, setting your own rules, not having the red tape to say you have to do things in a certain way, having the freedom to try new things. And you guys try a lot of new things. So it's I think as an agent, there's always, you have to look at, are you going to join an independent agency or franchise agency? And for me, it's always been, look at the owner, look at the size of the company, trying to get an understanding of the culture, talk to the agents, are these guys actually selling, am I going to get training? So where do you see Lux live in 5 or 10 years time? I know you've branched out, someone in Meisner, Cape Town.
We're attempting to.
Is it going to be
slowly.
Organic and just
we want to leave it organic. We've realized if you try to push something, that there's just so much of the trial and error. Rather let things.
You're not going to have someone on the phone poaching agents.
We in fact we don't. People have contact pretty much. Everyone that's around has been someone who approached us.
Oh, okay.
I think. But I don't know. Philip's gonna own half of Joburg in 5 years' time, isn't it?
We believe so. No, I think
start small.
no, the owning half of Joburg is definitely an option, but it's going to take some time to get there, and just need to continue doing what you're doing, and one day you'll get there.
And it's important to focus your expertise on one area. A lot of agents are very scattered. They like take listings from anywhere, sit there and take a listing from, Alberton, but you don't know the area, how are you going to price that? So I think it's important to be a hyper local type of expert and be seen.
Yeah, look, I mean, it's definitely worked, but if we end up growing, great. Where you guys should go is Europe, because the property portals, they're absolute rubbish.
Rightmove and Zoopla, I looked at that. It's like, we can do something better.
They're awful. The photos are awful. The information.
Any UK agents out there, please contact me.
Or we'll branch out into, we'll start small.
£1 million.
Why not? But then you need an investor, and you can't have that.
It's very tempting. We've tried something in the US long ago,
and
nobody knows that, but it didn't work out. You need to focus. You need to make things work incredibly well, and you need to be, want to launch this in Europe, would need to move there, understand how the market operates, and speak to the agents.
Okay.
But it's possible to we run Namibia, the portal My Property there, and it works fine. We don't have offices there, so it's possible. We are looking at the rest of Africa. There's opportunity because our systems are so optimized. It's very cost effective to run. So if we want to roll out a portal to one of the other African countries, we can easily replicate what we've done here. That's how we've designed things. I think there's a big opportunity in Africa where a lot of the competitors are looking, everyone is looking at more the first world countries and see the opportunity there. But, there's a lot stronger competition there. A lot more red tape. Where in Africa you have
true.
less red tape, but also different challenges. I mean, Namibia, there's no digital title deeds. Everything's paper based. It's not like South Africa where you can query the deeds office and get their records like we do. So there's different challenges, but it also represents opportunities, and we're busy with something there for the agents. So exciting times ahead, and from that we can maybe, if that's successful, we can maybe replicate that tech here in South Africa and say, well, let's try it here. So you learn. I think the European market is very different. Australia. A lot of the major metros, everything is auctions. And like you put a property on auction there, and then you just get, people get higher offers than what they expect. But the portal prices are also expensive, as I mentioned. But the sellers pay the advertising fees. It's a bit different.
Okay.
But it has enabled REA Group, for instance, to make huge profits as a result. That's why they're most profitable, where someone like Zillow is struggling to make profit. I don't think they still don't make a profit.
Really?
Yeah.
Even though they're so massive?
Burn through the cash. Yeah.
Wow.
Most portals do. I mean, investors are prepared to throw in tons of money in a portal if they guarantee that over, say, 10 years from now, that portal is going to be the number one portal. And it's all why someone like Zillow is still going. It's all about revenue numbers. That the revenue numbers are so high, can they get, and it shows that people are willing to spend with them. So estate agents there, they have a program there, Flex program. They easily share, I think 30 to 40% of their commission they share with Zillow.
Don't give Property24 any idea.
Cut that out. I'm sure they're looking at that, but it just shows you. But it's a small portion of the market, but the agents are willing to pay that because they get the leads, and they're just helping to grow this beast. And that's why if you take on any featured properties, whatever, on a portal, you're just fueling the beast. You just giving them some extra money to spend somewhere and draw more buyers. It's a very difficult game. But as I've mentioned, I think AI will have an impact on the portal game in many ways.
Yeah, well, as long as we can all be more competitive, ultimately everyone wins.
Yeah.
Or at least there's improvement on the market, one way or another.
Yeah. Do you guys think there are too many estate agents currently in the market? It's 50,000 now, isn't it? It's like, I think 20 odd thousand homes sold a month. There's like half a home for every agent.
I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, I think there's a bit too much.
It's easy to to get started as an agent there.
Easy to get
Yeah.
started, but I think it's also I don't know, I'm not too good with politics, but I think it's an economical problem in general, because you're looking at half of the country being unemployed.
Yeah, sure.
So you lose your corporate job, and then now you need to make a plan. So let's go into property sales, or
Yeah, spot on. Yeah.
yeah, it is easy to get in, and that I think it becomes a bit of a problem. Whereas any other industry, you'd sort of go through the training first and then get licensed and then practice, where this is a bit other way around. So it opens up a room for people to make mistakes and error to come in. But it's, I mean, what do you do if you have nothing else? So then now you sort of go to sales.
It's a worry if you think about it. If I can walk in as an estate agent, say want to start as a estate agent, tomorrow walk into a estate agency, get my FFC number, no formal training yet, I'm going to do it, but now I can already advise someone on what the value of their home is.
That's a huge problem.
Depending on the company structure, if the owner allows this or not. So it's a bit scary. If I'm a seller, I choose an agent, even like an older person, could come from another profession, don't know anything about real estate. How do you trust this guy? So that's something we try to figure out. How do you link the best agents with the sellers and the buyers? And one of them is, what is your qualifications? How many years have you been in the industry? What actual sales have you made? Reviews. What does your reviews look like?
So if it is verified reviews, I think that definitely will help. But then do you also want to say to someone who has no experience but who's working, let's say, with a mentor, do you want to say to them, no, I'm not giving you a chance? It's a very difficult one, hey? Actually,
you definitely need a mentor there. You need an agency who has those structures in place, and that's why I think teams work well, right?
I think so, and I think they're kind of trying to do the right thing, the property practitioners regulatory authority, by implementing this compulsory training and all that, but unfortunately, in our opinion, it's not done in a way that will teach the agent to be successful in practice. So it's like watching, we were laughing the other day, it's like watching people play paddle, and then does this make you a good paddle player? No. You need to practice it, and you need to get the tips of what works, what doesn't work. So it's not there yet. We're creating our own training to help agents. But I think what you were saying of implementing some form of rating, stars, like Airbnb does, the buyer,
exactly.
the tenant as well as the host rate each other. So, if your buyer and your seller can rate the agent, obviously you can't rate your buyer and your seller.
Why not?
Well, you
Rate
can,
them
but
privately.
no one's going to care. But if you can get to that point, then if enough is produced there. But I think we're very far, because the bottom line is there's not enough expectation on the market to get a professionally qualified, educated agent. A lot of the times it's driven by, sometimes you get asked the question, what's your commission, before we even talk? And my answer to that is, but my commission can be zero if I can't sell your house. It means absolutely nothing.
Good point.
So do you not want to know what is my ability to sell your house before we start talking commission? But unfortunately, because of there's too many agents out there, and because sometimes the expectation is so low from the your seller, that they actually just talk commission. They think, and we've heard it, you're all the same, so let's just go on commission.
Yeah, it's very generic.
So I think we're very far from.
A lot of education is needed. and we're pushing out some stuff, and like, we tell people it's an agent who charges 7.5% commission can net you more than someone charging 1% commission by just
Literally.
getting the right price,
Yeah.
or setting the right price. So,
Giving you the right advice in the first place,
yeah.
being trained to negotiate, being trained to actually connect parties to get to a mutually agreeable point.
Yes.
Because I can still bring you a buyer if I don't know how to get the two parties to agree on something that works for both, which doesn't have to be the middle. It could be closer to the one side, closer to the other, as long as they all agree. But if I can't get it right, even if the buyer is able and the seller is willing, we still have nothing.
I've written a post. I'll have to write a bit here and there, and I've written one on alternative commission structures in real estate. I just played around with the idea, and one of them was pay by the hour, where you pay agents by the hour. If you want to go do viewings, you pay me 500 Rand an hour, whatever, for my time. But then obviously when the sale comes through, then it's a couple more hours, but you pay for the hours. And then the other one was it's like a itemized list where you pick options to pick. I want to I'm prepared to do my own viewings. I want a show house board in front of my house. Okay, that's going to cost you 100 Rand extra. Doing your own viewings, okay, you're saving 2%, whatever, and then like a till slip, the till slip at the end of a transaction. That is what you owe. Thank you.
So you see, I'll tell you immediately, you're not an actual agent, because the first rule is the seller can't sell their own place. Too much emotion involved.
No,
and too much a sense of from the buyer side, I can't speak freely.
Yes.
Whereas if you as a buyer walked in here and said, this room is too small for me, this house is not going to work for me, if I know my stuff as an agent, I can say, but what makes you think so? No, because the table is round, whatever. I can say, no, but just think about it. We could put a square table and we can have a conversation, and the buyer can walk away saying, yes, I actually wasn't judging the space correctly.
Need someone objective.
But if it's not the agent, if it's the seller, the buyer won't say anything. The buyer will just go, lovely, lovely, I'll get back to you. That's it. Or the seller overdoes it with talking. They walk behind, they talk, the buyer gets irritated, walks away. Again, so you actually, the third party is there to balance the scale. And that's why it's not down to the money, so the till slip is great for something that doesn't have emotion attached. If I'm buying cups, till slip, how many pictures do you want on the fine? You pay more for this, less for that.
So the other model I looked at was a sliding scale model, where you say start off with 7.5%. And then, if you can sell it quickly, then you can model it two ways. Either you're getting higher percentage up front because you can sell it quickly and saving the buyer the seller time, or the other way around, where you earn more over time because you put in more time. I quite like the sliding scale model. But also linked, you need a formula. So I love maths. You need a formula where you can work out a commission based on days on market, the list via sales price, a couple of other things, and then it throws out that's your commission. That's your earned commission, that based on your experience and everything else. So. And maybe that's where AI will come in one day and will work out that formula. And it knows, understand you and have this context, and it will tell you, okay, on this deal, I have all the info, all the calls that you missed with the buyers and stuff. And we're going to lower your commission from 4% to 3%.
As long as the seller also said to the trusted AI with the price.
Yeah.
Because how long it stays on the market is very much linked to did the seller pay attention to our estimate. And on that note, we need to wrap up.
Great stuff.
We've got things to do.
It's been very
People
enjoyable.
to see.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
It's been great.
Yeah.
It's interesting way you're taking your company. It's actually I'm excited that we with you guys because there's
Likewise.
so many cool things
I'm
happening.
watching you with eagle eyes and what you're doing, watching your videos, and just love to see how you've grown and how you update your website and how you're using the system and the feedback and just a great relationship. So yeah, it's looking forward to the next few years of the AI
Another
era.
100 years because we're gonna have the microchip.
Yeah. You're gonna sit there
Will
on
you
this
put the chip?
table,
No.
sit
Quickly.
there on the table with chips and talk to each other. Have this conversation again.
Awesome. Thanks
No,
a lot.
thank
you very
you.
much. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.